Colette?
Are we ready? We made it! We made it! Hi, everybody.
We are live, Colette.
We are live, and I would love to see, I think I said, Priestess of Wonderland is first. Yay! You got here at the right time. Well, this is the right time, right? Yay! Spirit led you here at the right time. That's fantastic. Nice to see all of you. Love to hear and see where you're from. I've just been studying this reading for this month, so I want you to settle in because we have a lot to talk about today. But first, we're just going to get everybody grounded and really get grounded in the now. Today is my mom's birthday. Orange is her favorite color, so this is the only thing orange I have, so I'm wearing it. Orange-ish. So I'm sending my mom in spirit a big giant hug. Yeah, it's amazing what happens after someone crosses. Many of you, I'm sure, have had people that you've lost. She died when I was 33. Yes, my dad died when I was 31, 32. Anyway, around there. So it's been a long time. It's been 31 years. But my relationship has developed beautifully over time. I have deep respect for her and everything that she went through. Yeah. So a big hello. Tomorrow is February. Yay! And we have quite a month. Johannesburg, South Africa is here. Hey, and Texas. Hi, Nakia. I think I said your name right. I hope so. Gina Risto from South Carolina. Hi from Diana. Michigan's in the house. Sylvia. D. Eggert. Yeah, Duluth, Minnesota. You're almost Canadian. Hi, Annette. Gloria Pastillas. Pastillas. Sorry about that. I have to squint because I have a big camera in front of me. Anyway, is it time, Mark? Should I get going?
Keep saying hello.
Keep saying hello.
People are just coming in.
I know,
now,
I'm just trying to see their names.
Yeah.
He's so bossy today. Ray Jean Bailey, hello. Stacy Murphy, I can see you. Yes, Paula Robbins, the UK. Ontario's in the house, Paula Madden. Lynn Wilson is in LA. February, Claire Burrows, yes, the journey to becoming me, exactly. Claire Burrows, excited for February. Yeah, it is, it's a sober month, you guys. I'm just going to let you know. And yet we can be excited about that. Hey, Trish, your dad's birthday today too. Yes, our Aquarius parents. Wonder Woman is in the house. Christine, if you're calling me Wonder Woman, that I am not. Aram Justiram, hi. Elaine Moss from Georgetown, Ontario. Susan Montgomery, good morning. Melody, hey, everybody. So why don't we do a really quick grounding exercise while people are coming into the room? To say kind of to goodbye to the month of January, let's get grounded and bless it because it's been quite, I think everything, as Mercury retrograde ended and then Mars went direct, everything went direct and it felt a little, it was an intense month. I think it was pretty intense and great too. So let's just kind of tune in and drop an anchor so that we'll spend time together and we're in this beautiful bubble, just us here. Who's ever watching this live or on recording, you've stepped into this beautiful portal of love and an insight. So we are asking Spirit to be with us. We're asking our higher power, whatever that is to you, however you describe that to yourself, just to step in. And we're making the choice today to be grounded in spirit and to see through the eyes of the divine. See through the eyes of the divine. And take a deep breath. Hold it. Count to 5. And release. So awesome. Okay. Let's talk. So I'm going to just, Mark, will you show them the cards so I can show them how this is going to go?
Yeah.
Would you be able to do that for a second?
Yeah, hold on a second.
Okay, I just want you to see where my hand, just to show you how the cards are. Oh, that's not it. Okay, so we're going to be,
Colette,
yeah?
announcement to them.
Oh, Of course, I have an announcement. Thank you, Mark. I'm like, what do I do now? Okay, this has been quite a day already. I have an amazing announcement. So many of you know that I am an avid journaler. I've got stacks of journals that could fill up a whole room. This month, Hay House and I are hosting a free 4-day journaling masterclass called Jumpstart Your Journaling Habit in 4 days. It's next week. It's the February 6th to the 9th, every day at noon Eastern Standard Time. And each day, I'm going to share how to use journaling to nurture your inner self, come back to center, and clear your head so you can show up to all of the parts of your life as your best self. And more importantly, I'm going to teach you how to connect to spirit with your journaling. After nearly 4 decades of helping people create lives where they feel grounded and guided by spirit, which is true, that's making me old, but it's true. I have found that journaling is one of the most impactful habits for spiritual self-care. So how do you get there? Just go to ColetteBaron-Reid.com/jumpstart to save your spot now. It's going to be amazing. It's free, 4 days next week, okay? Be there. Even if you go, oh, I don't like journaling. I'm telling you, it's when you realize that you have a free something in your life that you can just do whenever you want to have incredible insights and epiphanies and connection to your higher power, you're going to want to do this because of the way I'm going to show you, okay? Lots of really cool techniques too to get out of your blocks. So let's move on to the reading of this month. Thank you, Mark. Okay, now, Mark, can you show them the cards? Yes. Okay, so this is a 15-card spread. It is very, very meaningful. So we're going to slow this down this month. I tend to get really excited and go through it, but there's so much to talk about. So settle into your chairs, have a cuppa with you, and if you'd like to take some notes, do it. And you can always watch the video again later because this is a really pivotal month this year. So in the center are 3 cards. That tells me what the main energetic theme is for everybody. So it's kind of like we have a weather report. So this is the weather report, energetic weather report here. Then here's where we're likely flowing into. So this is really basically more information and things that we need to be aware of. Here's the nature of our obstacles underneath my picture. There you go. Thanks, Mark. These 3 cards describe the nature of our obstacles this month in February, and there's actually quite a lot to say. Here we're looking at hidden influences for our benefit, right? So these are things that are going on, like as if in this matrix is movement that's we can't see, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And then this is divine intervention. What spirit's going to help us when we seem to not figure out how to do it ourselves, right? So this is our divine we're going to get these kind of pushes from our intuition to do things. And if you may already have these pushes, which is good. So you're going to realize, oh yeah, I'm on the right track. So let's drill down on the first card here because this actually set the tone for the whole month. Chop wood is in the protection position. And this is from my deck, Wisdom of the Oracle. It's the deck I teach with, and it's probably my most extensive deck. So here we go. Now, chop wood in the protection position tells us that we have to, all of us, be very conscious that not to be armchair astronauts this month. And I'll tell you what an armchair astronaut is. It's when the person who sits and talks about their big dreams but does nothing about it, right? And it's like, or talking about the problems of the world but is powerless to change it. Wanting to go on and on and on and on and on and on about why you can't, because that's the never-ending story beside that card. Like why you cannot get the things that you say that you want, or that so this is what you're tolerating. You're tolerating the old narratives, and this is all in your head. But this is what we're being invited to look at, and this is what's already going on. And there's a reason for it, which we'll talk about in a second, but this is the energy. So in order for us to get into the flow state, which is also flanking this, it's giving us a clue. We have to step into the unknown, recognize we really don't know what the next step is, even though we're seeing a recycling of events over and over again. So with chop wood here, it says, any kind of action. And the main statement on that card is taking one step towards the gods and they will take 10 towards you. So what is your one step? It's one of the reasons why I wanted Hay House and me to do this free challenge next week in this month and I knew this was going to be important because we need to regroup and we need to find new tools and tools that will keep us centered and grounded while we're continuously being shown a lot of more chaos than we can handle. Okay, so it's not letting up, guys. So we need the tools. We need to, in order to get into the flow, we need to reflect on ourselves because in us is great wisdom. Journaling, for example, that brings us into the wisdom. We start sometimes with, dear God, I don't know why I'm here. Like it can be like screwy. And then it's like, oh, and then all of a sudden your soul is on tap and it starts to give you things to write about. It's just uncanny. And I'll be talking about that next week. But it's really, really important that we start to recognize, hey, I need help here. I don't want to be the never ending story. Who the heck wants to why do we want to do that? Why do we want to keep recycling our tale of woe? Because that's only a small part of us that's afraid, the Chicken Little that thinks the sky is falling. I got to be honest with you, I just looked at the news. Just briefly, I get Apple News before I came on here, and it was talking about all this stuff that genuinely, the little Chicken Little inside of me went, boop, right? And I'm like, I know better. It's like, okay. It didn't say it was happening. It says it could happen. This could be happening. We could be going towards this horrifying thing. So it's remember this, there's a ton of propaganda out there. Bring it down to what you know, your soul knows. Your soul knows. You right now watching this video, you have a purpose, you have a cosmic blueprint. It's not being taken away from you. That, we just don't know the form that's coming, but if you stay in alignment with those vision boards I taught you how to do at the beginning of the month, next week we're going to do journaling, but this is so, so key. Don't forget yourself and don't just sit there and think about it. Take small steps. It can be micro changes, make huge changes, right? So don't be afraid. You don't have to figure out the whole map. It's just one step. We'll take one step towards the gods and they will meet you, right? So just remember, don't keep running past them either. Like, okay, I don't have time for you. That's also, it's not all on our shoulders. This month we have to be very sober about this and realize, be very careful. Have I got lost in the chaos? Am I being conditioned to expect the worst? Or can I step into the uncharted and recognize that there are potentials and possibilities and beauty there? But how are you going to get there? Right? You can't get there if you're constantly ruminating on the potential hardships. Okay? So be careful with that. Even though there are hardships, so we don't deny those. Those are really there, but both and can exist. You can have faith. You can trust spirit. You can act as if. You can work towards, in spite of the fact that there is chaos, etc. You will always have purpose no matter what's going on in the world. Okay, so this is a sober message for us this February, even more so. So where we're naturally heading right now, and these three cards here, the center card gives it a much nicer edge, okay? The center card is we need a sense of humor. Like we absolutely need a sense of humor. We need to get our goofy on this February and realize that when things are being withheld from us in any way, shape, or form, or we are seeing, the thing we thought was going to be the biggest thing and the most amazing thing. It's like, I think of the crypto, thing falling apart, coming back together. Like everything is like a yo-yo. Oh my God, my expectations aren't being met. That's not a reason to be afraid. It's a reason for us to go, oh, spirit might have a sense of humor here. Okay, not yet. Nothing says no forever. It's just we may be faced with some not yets, especially those of us who are looking to co-create things in a particular time frame. This is a little bit more like the wild, wild west. We still have to do our legwork, still put one foot in front of the other, and then things we might end up in a detour, and that's actually the divine comedy. It's not because it's going to be bad or you're going to lose something. Something better is coming. That's what this is reminding us. So Wear the world loosely around your shoulders this month in February. This is what this is saying. This is where we're naturally heading, right? Okay. And we have to do an inventory this month, which is why, again, the journaling thing next week is going to be key to go, because that's how I really learned, is about inventory. Okay, what do I need to let go of, too? The Not For You card is about, in order for me to be happy, in order for me to really feel at peace with myself, what do I need to let go of? Because I may be clinging on to things that aren't really for me right now. Maybe I need to change my community, my friends, the things I talk about, the things I read. This is also about boundaries as well. This month, we're required to set boundaries for ourselves. So for self-care, this is also, remember, this card in the protection card and this card, these three together remind us about self-care. This reminds us about self-care, right? So if we're overworking, this is a serendipity card in protection. When it's not for you, it's like, are you overamping? Are you saying yes to too many things? You might have to change your mind, and you have to allow yourself to change your mind and realize, you know what? Nobody needs to take this personally. I need to regroup. So this month in February, the month of love, can you show yourself a little more self-love and have some fun? Even though you're in the center of the hurricane. None of us have gotten out of there yet, just yet. We have time to go. Now, let's talk about the nature of our obstacles. Hey, Mark, how has this applied to you at all? Have you connected at all to this?
I'm just doing the technical
Okay, he's
so
not
I'm
listening.
Really hearing. I'll watch it later, I promise.
Alrighty then. I won't be asking my husband if he's listening. But this is a really, I think, a really sober month for us to develop a much more meaningful and poignant self-care. When we look, the Not For You card sits right on top of Never Ending Story, okay? So we need to give ourselves a hug. If we are frightened, if we have gotten into a place where we think the world is just going to pot, we know that it isn't in here. We know that we co-create reality, and this is the disintegration of things that don't work without us having to do anything. So what are we replacing that with? We can't replace it with Chicken Little, right? Going, the sky is falling, the sky. No, we have to love that little part of us that's scared or that's angry or that's afraid or any of those things, right? We need to actually spend some time recognizing, oh, this is what's going on. I don't want to live in this narrative. I don't want this part of me to be driving my bus into the world. I want to get on this nice boat over here, go with the flow, and be curious about what does Spirit need me to do right now? And it's one day at a time. That's the other thing. Not for you. Don't look too far into the future. You're not going to get what you need there. We create the future today. Today is the future that a week ago we were hoping for, right? So what are we going to do today? Give ourselves permission to dive into self-care, as well as taking steps forward to our dreams and ensuring that we're not overdoing it, that we're getting enough rest. Now, the obstacles. So back to here again. So what is the nature of our obstacle? Injustice. Now, you can't read this card any other way. The To Be Fair card is in the protection position, and that's the anchor here. So this is about, so when you look at the other two cards that flank it, Orphaned is about injustice makes us feel like there's nowhere to belong. It really impacts our sense of belonging. How do we belong to a human race that is so, when we are only also really seeing a lot of the underbelly, the shadow content that's been really active again. We're seeing it on the news, again, more and more, you're seeing, so it's hard to be hopeful, right? It's just really hard. And so you feel like you're so disconnected, and it's got nothing to do with the pandemic. It's everything else that needs to change that isn't changing fast enough, that we wish it was, and so we feel like, where do we get to land? And Treasure Island is all, when it's in the protection position, is about kind of like that momentary loss of hope. Like I thought, and like the kind of feeling that we're trying to look to see who's going to come and help, and there isn't anybody. So this is the nature of the obstacle. We have to be very careful not to fall into that and let that be our narrative. Will come up for us this month. February does tend to be a month where there's a little bit more depression, etc. In the northern hemisphere, there's not enough light. So for those of you who have seasonal depression, make sure you get enough of light, enough vitamin D, etc. This is really asking us this month to be very aware that these things are in the zeitgeist, which means it's like the living energy of the common collective story that is changing, and we often think that's the way it's always going to be. We're always going to feel like this, and that isn't true. But we still need to honor this. We can't bypass this. We still have to look and say, what is this? What is the thing that I can do today? Because you can't fix the world. None of you can, and I know many of you here are healers. That especially who follow me. I mean, usually you guys are people who really want to help and contribute, but it's not always going to be big giant gestures. It can be just the smallest thing, like smiling at somebody. You don't realize sometimes just smiling at somebody in a lineup who feels like they're completely orphaned. The orphan card isn't that you are orphaned, it's that you feel like that, like you don't know how to belong anywhere anymore, even like to society, to one another, to the family. It's a lot of stuff happening here. But we can. It's a call for us to connect. So it's not forever. This reminds us that get with our people. Don't stay isolated. Get with small groups of people, your friends. This is not the month for you to stay isolated. This is a month for you to reach out and also to just be there and sometimes listen to people who are having a hard time, right? It's an important month to do that. Okay, now, I always hope the cards are going to be, yippee, it's going to be great. And then it's like, no, we need extra love, extra care. Our hearts are broken. This is what this says. So here we go. Mirroring the orphaned card, the injustice, the treasure island and protection, the fear that we have that the sky is falling, Chicken Little, et cetera, et cetera. Again, this is just in there. Not all of us, I don't feel those things. I know they're there. That's not my narrative. But I am very aware that that's what's going on and how easily, because I'm so sensitive, that I can tune into that. But it takes work. I journal every day. I pull a card every day. I do whatever I need to do. I meditate. I breathe. I have to do the protocols. And this is what this is saying too. The chopped wood in the center, again, you have to do something to ensure that you don't get swallowed up by all of this. Now, back to the broken hearts. So this is all about the hidden influences. But I want to read this card to you because I think it's really important that we understand. It's not predicting that our hearts are going to be broken. We're down here.
Okay.
Exactly where you are. Yep.
Okay.
See, he is paying attention. Okay, so I want to read this because it's really poignant. Heartbreak is a strange healer of souls. Our grief strips away our masks and loosens our tight hold on our separateness. That's beautiful. Like all of this is for a reason. Like we realize, like, what is all this for, this crap? And it's like, oh, but it's to break our hearts open. Our grief strips away our masks, loosens our tight hold on our separateness, where we view ourselves as I and the world as it. Loss allows us to see ourselves as part of a larger scheme, opening us to sympathy, empathy, and dependence on others in the moment when we can't hold ourselves together. And there's the card right beside it. It's all about asking for help. Okay, it's a leg up. Okay, this makes perfect sense now. It leads us to become one with the greater whole again. So pain and suffering is a part of life, and none of us will be immune to it. Can you view this loss, this pain, this dissonance, this angst as a way back to source, to God? Let your sorrow break your heart wide open. You will never be left behind. You are loved now more than ever by Spirit, who does not want you to feel alone. One day you will look back and know this truth. How poignant and beautiful is that? This is what's going on behind all of this, right? So this is the hidden influences. This was all the surface stuff that I talked about. Okay, this is the energy. We know it's there. We look at the news, but this is what's happening. Spirit is asking us to allow this to break ourselves open, to learn how to be helpful to others and learn how to ask for help. And most people in here don't know how to ask for help. I bet you any money I could point out millions of you in here not going to ask for help. Okay, so we need to learn how to ask for help. Exchanging gifts are in the protection position too. So I want to read that card to you as well. I think it's, again, giving us some understanding as to why is all this stuff happening, and what is the, not even so much a silver lining, because it's more like where do we find hope in hopelessness? You know, because that's, and although next month, when the astrology changes, we're going to actually see something quite extraordinary. So hang on one sec. 27. Okay, here we go. Yes. Okay, so this is reminding us to be right-sized. Right-sized about, here it is here. Right, to be right-sized, and because it flanks this card, I'm going to read you only half of this because the first part isn't pertinent to what we want to talk about. So it reminds you that being only the giver and not the receiver plays out in many relationships in your life where you find yourself in a victim mode. See, remember this one, never-ending story? Look at that, right? You need to ask for help. You need to ask for help. You need to allow people to communicate with you and offer you help and their insight. When you find yourself in a codependent dynamic you end up holding on to a false sense of control. Oh no, I'm going to put my walls up. No one's getting in. Others may push you to continue to prove yourself. And the time has come to distance yourself from this kind of imbalance. Being aware of the need for both give and take is the first step to your true destiny. It's all good. It is going to get better. Not only can you handle this, but you can flourish as a result of it. So that card reminds us, in order for us to exchange our gifts, right? Again, comes back to here. We need to have a bit of a sense of humor too. We have to remember that we have to let people in. So the orphan card, this one card like really connects to every single other card. It's to be able to say truthfully where you're at to the right people. That's the other thing, right? So this is, and here's why I'm saying that. So here's divine intervention cards. The clean it up card is here. You are going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt. You're not going to have to guess. Well, what is it that we're supposed to be doing? Spirit's going to show you what needs to be cleaned up. Easy peasy pudding in pot. This is so clear. And you're going to also remember, oh yes, I'm the here and now. I can't jump too forward into the future. What can I do today? Staying in 24 hours is crucial. Again, your higher power is going to remind you of that. Staying in 24 hours. Clean up what is yours to clean up. Do not clean up anybody else's side of the street. That's being a controlling person, thinking that you're going to rescue people. This isn't what this is. This is about being present to what we need, state our needs, learning how to set appropriate boundaries as well too. And here, community, community, community. This is so great. We just opened up our doors to my membership site at cbrlove.com. That just happened. Next week, I'm doing another free challenge for four masterclasses where we're all coming together again. So finding your community to learn things, to be together with other people so you are not isolated. And it's not that you find a place where you dump. That's not it either. It's a place where you share. Sharing is very different than dumping and expecting to be rescued. It's a very, very different thing. When you start to realize that you are very similar to other people, and when you find communities that suit you, and then you're in there, you're like, oh, I feel so good in here. That's really important, you guys. So get a community. I don't care if it's mine, if it's somebody else's. Find a place where you feel like you belong. This is all challenging our belonging and our sense of connection. So I love this month's reading. I think it's so meaningful that we don't try to escape what's going on. It doesn't say that there's no success, etc., for people who are doing things that need to be successful at all this month. It's not the point. The point is that this is what's going on at our heart level. And considering that February tends to be the month of the heart, we tend to look at February, maybe it's because it's Valentine's Day, whatever, but it is usually we talk about relationships in February, etc. And this is a relationship to our own hearts and to one another. It's not a romantic thing, but it is something that we have to take a look at as important because we can't do this world alone, and we don't have to. Anyway, I want to tell you a little bit more about that, the journaling course again. So let's talk about that. If some of you didn't hear me talk about that in the beginning, because I know some of you are saying, what do you mean about next week? What's she doing? What's going on? Yes. Oh, my chair is making noises. I did not do anything naughty. Okay, this month, which is next week, Hay House and me, we're hosting a free 4-day journaling masterclass. It is called Jumpstart Your Journaling Habit in 4 days. It's happening February 6th to the 9th, and it's daily at noon Eastern Standard Time. I do meditations, and I'm giving you some great prompts. Each day I'm going to share how to use journaling to nurture your inner self, come back to center, clear your head, so you can show up to all the amazing parts of your life as your best self. And it's all about connecting to spirit. So after nearly 4 decades, oh my God, that's aging me. It is. I've been helping people create lives where they feel grounded and guided by spirit, which I really have. And I have honestly found that journaling is one of the most impactful habits for spiritual self-care. And what do these cards tell us we need to do in February? Spiritual self-care. It is free, okay? Come to ColetteBaron-Reid.com/jumpstart to save your spot now, okay? So, and remember, it's totally free. Just come. 4 days with me next week, noon. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. They're short. They're very, very short lessons, but I think you're going to get a lot out of it. All right, Mark, thank you for doing this. My team, I'm so sorry that I forgot it was at 10. And I'm sorry, but I made it. I made it. I made it.
Okay, Colette.
And thank you all for showing up here today for this. Oh, and there was a beep. Bye, guys. Don't forget, next week, ColetteBaron-Reid.com/Jumpstart.
Jumpstart.